Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. You guys weren't expecting me tonight, but here I am. I told you to watch out for this month. We're going to be doing some special things, and this is the first one. So we have our anniversary that's coming up, and we are celebrating that in this month. If you're new, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology, and here on our channel, we help to educate, we help to empower, and we help to encourage you to take charge of your health and take charge of your life. I thought this month we would do something that was special. As you know, our anniversary is coming up of the channel, right? So we've been on the channel for about 2 years, and we have done live shows for the past year, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. That's coming up on the 4th. But for this month, I am planning to do a live show every day for the entire month. I'm actually in a group, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge that we did last year, and we're doing it again this year. And it's a private group that we're doing, and we've got different assignments that we do through the group, and it is going live every day in August. LEDA, L-E-D-A, live every day in August. And as we're doing that over there, I thought I would spend some time here on the channel, also going live. And you'll see down in the corner that it says TubeBuddy, right? Central Time. I don't know what time. Tonight I was taking a class, so after the class was over, I got ready, and here I am, right? So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the month. And then up in the corner, I don't know, is it this side or this side? Over here somewhere, over here, right? You'll see, there you go. Day number two, right? So today is day number 2. We were live yesterday or last night at our regular time for our live show. And last night we talked about neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy. We talked about the different things that we can do. But tonight is day number 2, and keep coming back, right? You'll see these things pop up as we go throughout the month. And hopefully you will come and you'll join me, and we can have a good time together. As we go through the month, we're going to be planning to do some new things as we get to the end of the month, as we get into the new season, right? So we've been on for about 2 years, and we've got about 104 videos, I think, so far, if you go out there. A little over 600 subscribers, and we are hoping to continue to grow the community. So going live every day in August, right? So LEDA. And as I was explaining that I'm in this group, it's a challenge, a monthly challenge that we go live every day in August. And in the group, we're doing some different challenges. But as we go through this month that we're celebrating 2 years, this is our 2-year anniversary, I thought it would be great for us to also on the channel do a show every day in the month of August. We did a show last night, which is our regular show, and then tonight coming back and of course doing this one. And tonight we're going to be talking about beliefs. And it is a mindset thing, right? And as you know, we spend a lot of time on our show talking about educating. We talk about encouraging. We talk about empowering, right? Taking charge of your health, taking charge of your life. And the big thing that happens is that it's all in the mind, right? A lot of it is in the mind, and a lot of it has to do with beliefs. Let me give you an example, right? Have you ever been in a situation, and I've been in the situation, where someone has done something, right? So say it's my wife, my son, and I have an idea or in my mind, I've created the story of why this was done, or somebody at work, or somebody in my family, or someone in some other circumstance. And I have an idea of why they did it. And maybe I'm mad, I'm upset, right? I'm irritated, I'm annoyed that this thing happened. And I behave in that way. So they are, maybe a little bit more curt with them. Maybe I don't take the time that I normally will. Maybe I'm a little cold, a little standoffish, right? Because there's this thing in my mind. And then you find out, well, that really wasn't why they did it, right? So they didn't do it because of you. Something else was going on, right? And all of a sudden, you switch. Now, notice what happened. Why are you able to make that switch? It is because the belief has changed or the circumstance has changed, right? Now, let's take the other thing. Let's take the other case. Suppose you do find out that it is the case that what you thought was going on, what you thought they had done is what they did. And the reason they did it was exactly the same reason. Well, your belief now is supported by data. And I tend not to change how I feel, right? So it takes more time for that thing, the circumstance, the reason to kind of get me calmed down. In the first instance, it happened automatically, right? As soon as I found out, well, that wasn't the reason they did it, boom, I changed. Well, what's going on now? Why is that the case? And it all has to do with the mind. Well, so if we can change our beliefs, then we can begin adjusting how we behave. And if we adjust how we behave, then we get a different solution, right? Hey, Soul Gaming, how you doing? Glad you're stopping by. Let's pop you up there. Hello. Glad that you're here, right? So if we change our belief, then we can change our behavior. If we change our behavior, then we can change our outcome, our results, and essentially changing our lives, right? So the question is, where do beliefs come from? Right? Or what are beliefs, right? Beliefs are those things that we hold about a certain situation, right? So beliefs are, the feelings, right, that we hold about a particular thing. And where do those feelings come from? Well, they tend to come from several places. They tend to come from our childhood, right? So how we were raised, how we were nurtured, how experiences that we had. Recently, I was talking to some of my sisters. There's 6 of us in our family, and we do a show, and we were talking about the way we are. Now, all 6 of us grew up in the same family, right? And theoretically, we all had the access to all of the same things. But if you talk to each of us, all the 6 of us, right, the same situation, right, the same thing that happened in the family, we all have a different idea of the significance of that, and we all have a different idea about how it impacted us, right? Now, 2 of my sisters are twins. Well, I have twin sisters. Let me say the 2 of them. And if you talk to them about a situation, something that happened, you'll get 2 different ideas as well, right? So how we were raised, the values that our parents had, the people who were around us. If you played sports, right? So your influence comes partially from how you interacted with those people on the team, the coaches, the other players. If you were in band, or if you were in choir, if you were in any number of clubs, then those people and the values that they have influence you. And that's one of the reasons why parents put their kids in sports, right? Because there is something that you get from playing sports, camaraderie, sportsmanship. You learn how to be disciplined, how to persevere, right? So there are all these things that we learn, and those things come from childhood. There are sometimes that we get things that come from childhood or other parts of our lives that can be harmful, right? That those things were harmful to us. So we went out when we weren't supposed to. We broke our arm. We went swimming and we had an incident in the swimming pool. We went horseback riding, right? So all these things now begin to influence how we feel. So you now have a child that's interested in horseback riding. And guess what? Because of what you believed about horseback riding, that influences how you raise your child, right? It could be simply some good common sense, right? So you're a child. You're like, okay, this thing makes sense to me. And so all of these inputs are now coming and forming how we believe. I recently was reading something and watching a video, and the speaker and the writer were saying that at any one time there are about 2 million signals that are coming at us, and we can only take in about 134,000 of those, right? And so what happens to the rest? Well, we filter it out, and we filter it based on history. We filter it based on our belief of something. And so now our world is not based on the actual 2 million signals. It's based on our filtered understanding of those things that we have. So that when we get a new signal, we are now comparing the new signal with the old stored catalog. And we are saying, okay, it's like that one. It's like that. No, it's not like that one. Right. And so we're trying to figure out what the thing that we now saw means based on our beliefs, Okay. So let's run through an example together. Right. So I want you to think back, and I want you to think about something in your life that you think, right? And then we're going to start with this, that you think is probably a disempowering belief, or something that happened as a child, or something that we teach our children that is a disempowering belief if they carry it into adulthood. Okay. Now, a typical one is don't talk to strangers. In fact, we were having this same conversation with my son recently, right? So don't talk. So we teach children, don't talk to strangers. But as we mature, then don't talk to strangers is really not what we want to carry into adulthood. Don't talk to stranger is a great thing for our children, right? Because we are doing something that helps them stay safe. But if they carry that into adulthood, now that causes a problem. Okay. Or how about here's a good one. You got to clean your plate. Right. So if you grew up, right, being taught that you got to clean your plate, then now as you grew, people are putting plates in front of you that may not be totally healthy. But if your belief is that you got to clean your plate, then you begin developing unhealthy habits, right? In terms of food. So those are some simple example. So think now of something that happened in your past, right? Think of something that happened in your past. I'm thinking of one, right? So when I was a child, we moved from the apartments that we lived in, and we moved to a house. Okay. And when we moved to the house, we had a lot more space. In the apartment, we were very crowded. Like I said, there were 6 of us. There were 4 of us then, plus my parents, right? So very crowded. And it was a 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartment. My uncle lived with us. So parents in one. And so the 4 kids shared a room, right? So then we moved into a big house, right? So whatever your example is, right? Think of it. Now, there are things that I think about now, and so we moved to the bigger house. And in my mind, when we moved to the bigger house, we really all kind of separated and we went to our different lives. We got into our different lives. When we were in the same room as a child, it was very cozy. We really kind of knew what everybody was doing, right? I could look across the room. I could see my sisters, right? My parents were right there. So then we moved into this house, and I have my room. My sister had her room in the back. My parents were in that room. The twins were in that room, and it was a 3-story house, right? And so my grandparents are now living with us. So they're upstairs, right? So everybody has their space. And in my mind, having the space separated us. Right? Notice what's happening, right? It's a belief system, right? So the closer we are, right, the more compact we are, the closer we are in terms of our connection with each other. Well, we moved to a bigger house and then we separated. And so I grew up, right, thinking that for, while we were in the house. And so I was always trying to get closer. Right? If you talk to my brothers and sisters, they probably don't have that same idea. And as a matter of fact, this is the first time I'm sharing that. So you're getting some good stuff right here, right? So now my belief of growing up, thinking that, okay, we've all got to be kind of on top of each other, right, to be close. And so now I live in a house, right? So my son is across there. My wife is, in our room. And right. So having something smaller for me in terms of a house, not the yard. Like I want a big yard, by the way. I want like land. But on the land, I want a little house. Right, that we're all together. I know. So there's a belief. Okay? So if I have that belief, then anytime me and my wife were talking about getting a bigger house, what do you think my response would be? Yeah, no, let's not do that, right? So so now I've kind of brought that down. So that's a belief that has an impact, okay? Belief has an impact. So all of our beliefs have an impact. Now we may think that we are not really acting on the belief, but it's in there and it affects our behaviors, right? Right. So the question then comes is, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? Because what you believe about yourself determines what you tell yourself, and what you tell yourself determines how you interact with those around you, the people and the world. Right? So how do we change beliefs? And that's ultimately the question. So we know beliefs can come from a lot of different things, a lot of different influences. We know that they can impact how we feel and how we think. And we gave you the example of being able to change how you feel and how you believe instantly when you find out some more data. Or if you find out data that confirms what you're thinking, then you don't change. Okay? So this is a good place to make a point. So whatever it is that you're telling yourself, your brain is going to find evidence to support that. Because the brain doesn't like to be wrong. It doesn't like to lie. So it's always going to be trying to find some evidence to support whatever it is that you're telling yourself. So the brain is amazing. It's kind of like, have you ever done this? So you bought something. It's a car. It's, a new piece of clothes, something that you bought. And then after you bought it, you start noticing that everybody around you seems to have the same thing. Now, did they go because you got it? Is that why they went out and bought it? No, they had it all the time, right? But now that it's in your psyche, your brain is now reaching out and looking for those things. And so if you tell yourself, I'm not good enough for something, the brain is going to go find evidence that you're not good enough. If you tell yourself, I can't do something, the brain is going to go find evidence that you can't do that thing. If you tell yourself that nobody likes me, I don't have friends, right? The brain is going to go and is going to find evidence to support that. Even if there are 100 people, let's take the friends thing, right? Even if there are 100 people that want to be your friend and one person doesn't want to be your friend, guess who the brain is going to focus on? That's right, the one person who doesn't want to be your friend. Isn't it amazing what the brain does? So if that's the case, what we want to start doing is we want to start changing how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to our psyche, how we believe, how we interpret the world around us. And a big part of that is just what we mentioned earlier, information, right? So if you have information, if you find information, if you are putting more information into your mind, then that begins changing, right? Begins changing what you do. Right. So here's some beliefs. Here's some beliefs. And I want you to think about them, right? So I am smart. What do you think the brain is going to go find? Evidence that you're smart. I am lazy. What do you think the brain is going to go find? Evidence that you're lazy. I can't sing a note. The brain's going to go find evidence that you can't sing a note, right? I'll never kick this smoking habit. If you tell yourself that you're never going to kick the smoking habit, then your brain says there's no reason for me to try. If you said, I can do everything, anything I want, then there's a feeling of peace. I can do anything I want. There's a feeling of peace. I am lovable. I feel secure. I can't sing a note. Well, I don't have to risk embarrassing myself. So there's no point in trying. See, notice what's happening. So the beliefs lead to a consequence, whatever that is. And the consequence is either I'm confirming I'm smart, right? So I feel comfortable that I can hold my own, right? So the brain goes and finds that. Or I can't sing a note, so the brain goes and finds that. So it's going to find something that matches. Okay? So how do we change our belief? How do we change our beliefs? Sometimes in terms of this adding information, by recognizing that it is a limiting belief. That don't talk to strangers may be great while I'm a child, but now I am in business. I am in customer service. I am upwardly mobile, right? So I'm manager, right? So you have to talk to strangers. Clean your plate. Simple one, right? So no, you've put on weight. So now clean my plate. That's a limiting belief. So we can't do that anymore. Okay? Whatever you believe about yourself is probably supported by plenty of evidence. Okay? And so now we go out and we begin changing what we're thinking, changing our assumptions. Now, remember I told you that we got these 2 million signals that are coming. We process about 134,000. And anytime something new happens, we go and we try to catalog it. Well, guess what? You can change the catalog. You can say, okay, I don't like this summary of the world. Let's throw that out. We create a new summary, and now we catalog based on that. Notice what just happened. We changed what was in our mind. We changed the map in our mind. And so now things that are coming in are now being judged based on a different map. Okay? We've got to work on self-talk. And this takes now going back and looking at perhaps some of the things that have happened in the past, find out what it told us or what it made us do, and then begin now working to change what it is. Does that make sense? Okay, here's some challenging, disempowering beliefs, right? Or some examples. I must be perfect in all things, in everything I do. So that's a disempowering one, right? Because either I'm very anxious every time I do something, or I don't attempt anything. Because if I have to be perfect, I don't want to put the energy to be perfect. Or I'm very anxious every time I do something. Is it right? Is it right? Is it right? Is it right? I'm checking with people. I'm calling them. Is it right? Is it right? Right? I must be liked and admired by everyone. Right? So these are a lot of people who are people pleasers. Right? So they go about spending a lot of energy trying to get people to like them. How about this one? People do not change. Right? So it gives us a cynical look at people. And so our interactions with people are different. I recently heard, as soon as I said that, it went out of my head. Tony Robbins, right? Was one of his old videos. And I never realized this before, right? So Scrooge didn't want to change. Scrooge had convinced himself that the reason he was rich was because he had distanced himself from people and that he was mean. He was efficient, right? So that's his phrase. So did not want to change. How did he end up changing? He ended up changing because the pain of staying where he was more than the pleasure of change. And sometimes that's where we have to be, right? The pain, if you will, of being in this spot, having this belief, has to be more than the pleasure of releasing it. And where does that come from, right? So we've got to associate there's pain with whatever that thing is in the past, in the present, and the future. There's no place to go, because sometimes what happens is we look back on something that was painful, and we mystify it, we glamorize it. We say, "Oh yeah, that wasn't that bad." Well, no, it was. Right? But we are escaping into the past. And sometimes we escape into the future, right? Oh, it's going to be better. It's going to be, right? But the mindset, the belief is still there. So it is associating pleasure, right? So we do things, people say we do things for two reasons, right? Either pleasure, to get pleasure, or to avoid pain. And so as we are working on creating new beliefs and changing our beliefs and ultimately getting benefit from that change, that's where we have to be. We have to begin saying, okay, what are the benefits? What are the pleasure? What are the positives of making this change? What does that make me feel like? What does that do for me? What successes does that give me in my life? And if I don't change, what are the consequences of not changing? So as we work with coaching clients, that's really a powerful part of what we do. Was that this is this thing that you want to do? What are the benefits of changing, or what are the things that happen if you change how you think about it? If we're able to get that, what does that do for you in the future? And if we don't do this, if we don't make this change, what does that mean for us? Pain and pleasure. So beliefs, huge, huge, huge. They have the power to help us to soar, and they have the power to keep us where we are. And so our challenge for you is on your beliefs. If there are disempowering beliefs that you have, we've got to change those. They begin changing with education, with more data. We've got to change the catalog in our mind. And in order to do that, sometimes we need help. So reach out, right? Find someone, find a coach, find a counselor, find someone that can help you make that change. Because I tell you, man, if you can change the belief, get rid of those disempowering beliefs, think about the freedom that you get. I'm so glad that you were here. Join us tomorrow for day number 3 in our live every day in August. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here in our channel, we help to educate, we help to empower, and we help to encourage you to take charge of your health and your life and go to the next level. So we will see you tomorrow night at some time. Let's get some music and let's get on out of here. Bye-bye. Good night.